You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today we have our second house call of the weekend. I hope you did tune in yesterday. It was a great show. We had a lot of different questions on vitamin D, on vegan-based foods that are high in iron, on everything from missing podcasts, when's my book going to be out, and someone that's been suffering from daily diarrhea for literally over a year, and my exact recommendations of how you can clear that up pretty much in just weeks at the most, at the very, very most. So check that show out if you didn't tune into that. And today we have 3 questions, so not 6 questions, because I always gauge the questions as how long I need to allocate for the show. And I don't like to really take more than 20 minutes of your time. I like to be cognizant of your time. I like to make sure that I really am just being aware of how long the shows are so that you can tune in on a daily basis, because every single day is absolutely different, and it will be, and everything will build. So please do tune back to previous shows and previous podcasts just by going to stephencabral.com/podcast. So that you're able to get the previous information, the previous knowledge that I have shared, because we are building, we're building, and we're building, we keep going. So you'll start to see these trends as well. And although I do always explain it as if you are a true beginner, never hearing this before, I'm telling you, once you've heard it a couple times, you need to hear it more than once. It's going to start to sink in, and you will understand, you'll start to realize how I practice this form of medicine, which really has no exact name to it, except that it is true natural health and it is true state-of-the-art medicine and blending the two together. Okay, let's get into the first question so that we do have time. The first question is from Chad. Chad's asking, hi, Dr. Ball. You indicated you live in the downtown area of a major city. I do as well. Do you have any issues with nighttime traffic noise? If so, what do you use to mitigate its impact on your sleep? I've tried earplugs and sound machines, but I'm wondering if you have any better solutions. All right, Chad. Yes, I do. I've lived in downtown Boston since 2004, so that's 13 years. It's amazing. I mean, time literally flies. Before that, I lived in Providence, and Providence, although I didn't live directly in downtown Providence, I lived on, it was still the urban part of Providence, and it was, I wouldn't say high traffic, but pretty close to it as well. The other issue me living in downtown Boston, I'm on a major street. There are restaurants, there are all sorts of things going on, and it's a beautiful area to live. We absolutely love it, but there are street lights. And so what we do is we have to essentially create an environment, a sleeping environment that would be conducive to producing more melatonin and getting into a deep sleep. So I have blackout blinds, and we have curtains as well. The curtains help dampen the sound without a doubt. You can get inserts for the windows as well. They're fairly inexpensive, which is basically like a plexiglass, and that can help dampen the noise if you'd like. We don't do that, but you can. And well, so here's the other thing. I'll just make it simple. We have an air filter in our room, and the HEPA air filter actually has a little bit of like a light, dull, buzzing noise. Not anything that's intruding, like anything or intrusive that would be damaging to your ears and like that, but just a low hum. So that certainly helps. And then when our first daughter was born about 4.5 years ago, we started using a dome sound machine, just a white noise machine. So we had a monitor in our room, so that was playing for our room, and we just kind of got used to that. So between like the air filter, which we're using to clean the room, and you can just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, check back on my Friday reviews for the best air filters. You can kind of, I don't like to use that term, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but I said it anyways. But essentially what you're doing is you can clean the air, and then you can also get the benefits of that as well. So, but what's a really inexpensive alternative? One really cheap way to do it is there's a great app that I will use when I'm traveling. I travel quite a bit, and I can just use this in hotel rooms as well. And it's called Sleep Pillow. And if I didn't get that right, I'm pretty sure it's Sleep Pillow. It has a little owl on the app. And it has about a dozen different sounds for you to choose from. So it's really nice. And they have one that's kind of rain or a river flowing, or there's one where it's like fire crackling. So they're really nice. And I believe the app is free, which is obviously a great price. If it's $1.99 or a couple dollars, it is worth it in my opinion. And it's called Sleep Pillow. So just make sure you get the room cool enough. You have the room darkening blinds and shade, that you have at least just the Sleep Pillow app, which is free. Just make sure that you put your phone on airplane mode if you are playing it on your phone, and that you are also keeping the phone away from your head. So these are important things I'll be talking about in my upcoming book as well. I talked about my upcoming book yesterday, and I'm not to promote it or anything like that. If you listen to the podcast, you'll actually say I'm like anti-promoted it, but all of those things are helpful. So hopefully those tips help with you, and they certainly have with us. Cheryl's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. First, I'd like to express my gratitude to you for providing such solid and thought-provoking advice. I've learned so much and have made it a practice to listen to your podcast every day. Now, for my question, have you ever heard of a practice called muscle testing? My sister-in-law is going to a naturopath who performs this kind of examination in order to tell her which foods she may be sensitive to, in addition to supplements he recommends to her. He offers his service in person as well as through Skype. It sounds intriguing, but is a totally foreign concept to me, and I thought perhaps, based on your interest in health disciplines throughout the world, that you may have heard of it. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to your thoughtful response. Okay, Cheryl, I have heard of it. Honestly, this is my life. Like, this is what I've dedicated my entire life to. I have my family and I have my work, and I put all of my effort and heart into both, and that's it. I don't do anything else. So if it's out there, honestly, I've most likely researched it, especially if it's a discipline, if it's a practice, whether it's Reiki, whether it's manual muscle testing, also called muscle kinesiology, any of these disciplines. I mean, literally, I want to know about it. Initially, I want to know about it for selfish reasons, because I wanted to get well. And so I did muscle testing with practitioners, maybe, 15 years ago or so, 12 years ago, somewhere around there. And my experience was not a good one. So I'm going to come full circle. I know there's a lot of people listening to this podcast who are muscle testing practitioners, and they are naturopaths who use this predominantly in their practice. And so please stay with me and I will circle back around. I went to multiple muscle testing practitioners, and I went through the whole work. And there are many different actual disciplines within muscle testing. And so I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I've done multiple types. And the issue is this, and here's the issue with muscle testing. I'm going to get into the good parts of muscle testing. The issue is this: it's practitioner dependent. That means you have to get someone who's so knowledgeable in all disciplines of medicine, all disciplines of nutrition, all disciplines of digestion, that they wouldn't even know the right questions to ask. And I'm going to tell you why. If the practitioner cannot ask the right questions, then they cannot get the right answer. Because if you've never heard of muscle testing before, there are many different ways to, again, muscle test. A lot of times you're lying down and your arm is directly above you. The practitioner will then start to press down on your arm, and they will find basically your standard response, meaning like they'll ask you your name, the day of the week, whatever it might be. And then if it's a yes that your mind and body are in agreement, your arm will not fall down. You'll be able to resist her or his tension. But if the food, the supplement, the question is a negative on your body, working with your nervous system, your body will not be able to fight against the resistance. You actually get weak. And it's very, very interesting. So trust me, I look at the science and I also look at anecdotal evidence. Now, even if the science doesn't yet match up with anecdotal evidence, I'll still go with the anecdotal evidence any day of the week as long as it's safe. But the truth is that if you look at the National Institute of Health and PubMed, they've done studies on this, and they've actually looked at over 100 studies and then did 12 double-blind placebo tests on what they're calling manual muscle testing. And they found that there's something to it. The problem is replication. And that's the issue, is that all of these things are not easy to replicate. And my problem was this, that the practitioners that I went to didn't know the right question to ask. And in very complicated cases, I can't recommend muscle testing alone. And again, I know there's amazing practitioners out there using muscle testing. But for example, I just saw someone last week. Oh, this is actually, now that I think about it, it's probably about 6 weeks ago now. And they're doing so much better. But the problem is their diagnosis was cancer. But when I looked at their blood labs, I saw a lot of other things that it could be before they started saying, okay, this is definitely cancer. I saw a potential of lead-based poisoning. I saw a potential of blood clots. I saw a potential of microscopic internal bleeding when I looked at their blood labs. There is no way humanly possible, I don't care how gifted you are as a manual muscle tester or a muscle kinesiologist, that you would be able to assess internal microscopic bleeding, possible lead poisoning, and possible blood. Maybe you get the blood clots because you might be able to examine this person and see that. I'll be honest. I really believe in lab testing. I really believe in functional medicine if you've been suffering from something a long time. Now, could you use muscle testing to find out the best foods for your body? Yes. Yes, you could. I'm going there with you. I'm willing to go there with you. But I would love it if you could do muscle testing in conjunction with some functional medicine tests like an organic acids test, a vitamin D test, a hair tissue mineral analysis. What else? Your annual blood work, genetic testing. I mean, again, these are just hard questions to ask. And that's why when I got muscle tested by 3 different practitioners, none of it fixed what I was dealing with, which was really bad fatigue and allergies and digestive issues at the time. And they wanted to help. They told me what they felt that I was allergic to and what supplements that I should take. It didn't work because it didn't address the true underlying issues of SIBO, candida overgrowth, and all the other issues that I was having as well, autonomic nervous system function. So, just keep in mind, I love all disciplines, but the whole reason that I studied all over the world is to try to figure out what the best form of medicine I was. So I went to China, I went to Europe, I went to India, I went to Sri Lanka, I studied all over the US, I was in Canada, and I fully expected to find one form of medicine that I could just become a master at, and that would be all I would do, and that I would be able to help people so that they could end their suffering. But what I found was really interesting is that every form of medicine worked, which was a huge surprise to me, and they all worked pretty well. The issue was they didn't work for all people at all times. And that's what we need to look at, is that not every discipline is going to work for you at all times. And that's why what I try to do is just blend the beauty of Ayurvedic medicine, of traditional Chinese medicine, of acupressure, of marma points, of looking at digestion, of looking at state-of-the-art functional medicine, at looking at the old school natural hygienists, and then looking at really state-of-the-art toxicology and detox. So hopefully that makes sense. And I know it's a long-winded answer, but it deserved that, because the answer is you could absolutely get fantastic benefit from fine-tuning the protocol with muscle testing. But if it's a serious based issue, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, I would really love to see some lab work in addition to the muscle testing. So do the muscle testing in addition to some lab work as well. Okay. I feel good about that answer. All right. Cassidy is up next, and she is saying, Thank you for putting out this daily podcast. I've learned so much. I have a quick question on your kettlebell workout challenge. You mentioned doing the swings every day. Is it okay to do? I know you've mentioned it in the past that you don't believe in working out every day. Okay, yeah, this is a great question, Cassidy. And you know what? I like that Cassidy called me out on this. And I appreciate that, because I'm sure if you had this question, so did other people as well. And so we literally just put out the kettlebell workout challenge on Thursday. And this was our last question that we just got in, because we're literally caught up now to date. So if you didn't tune into that podcast, I highly recommend it, because it wasn't just on Kettlebell Workout Challenge. It was about how to make your workouts fun again, how to get remotivated, how to stay on a schedule with the workout, and what we do particularly for our clients, like how often we switch up workouts to keep them motivated, all of those different things. So just go to stephencabral.com/398, or as always, just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and you can obviously get all of those previous podcasts there. So thank you for tuning in every day. I really do recommend that. I know it's my show, and of course I'm biased, but I try to just keep it around the 15-20 minute mark. And so if you can do that, I think that sometimes when you read the headline of a podcast, it doesn't do it justice, because obviously, I go on these rants and I go on these tangents and I talk about so many other things. So if you catch it every day, as I've said before, it starts to build. And as it starts to build, so does your knowledge, so does your repertoire. I'm telling you, if you listen to the previous year of the Cabral concept, you will know so much more than a just conventional medicine only trained doctor. Now, it doesn't mean that doctor is not brilliant. They are, but they just don't know about natural health. I'm not talking that you know more about pharmaceuticals and, cancer and oncology and all of that. I'm not saying that. I don't want to denigrate or talk negatively about MDs, because I work with so many amazing MDs in my own practice and I promote them. And I believe that it's fantastic to have not only an MD, but also a naturopath or a natural health practitioner to work with, or a nutritionist. So what I am saying is I cover on such a vast array of different topics that if you're tuning in on a daily basis, you really are going to catch so many different things. And it's the repetition that's going to get you to learn and really have it sink in. I know that's how it is with me, and I know that works the same way with a lot of other people as well. Okay, so let's answer your question. I do want to get to that. You're absolutely right that I say not to work out every single day, but it's why I say that. I say you don't work out every single day because I don't want you to over-stress your body if you already have a lot of other stress. But that doesn't mean I don't recommend exercising or being active on a daily basis. Okay, let me clarify that. So if you're doing a resistance weight workout, I say you should do 3 times per week in an ideal week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with weights or resistance training. Could you do more? Yes. You could do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. That would be fine. More than that, not needed. Absolutely unnecessary. Now, you can add sprints to that. You can add yoga. You can add spin class. You can add other things that you enjoy. Totally happy, totally fine with you doing that. What I'm talking about, though, is cross-training. I'm talking about doing different things for your body on each day of the week. But also what I'm saying is that you don't take your workouts to failure, which could further exhaust your body or raise cortisol levels to a higher level than any of us really need. Remember, most of us teeter on adrenal-based fatigue or adrenal-based burnout just because of work stress, and we have our computers and our phones and constant stimulus and families and parents to deal with and all of those things, right? So it's we don't necessarily need to just keep burning ourselves out. However, we all do need exercise. And even if you're the most fatigued adrenal-based patient, like I was many years ago, you still should go for a daily walk. And your daily walk, I couldn't do 10,000 steps initially, even as a supposedly healthy, strong-looking person, as my doctors would call me. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. How would I walk 10,000 steps, which is about 90 minutes, 100 minutes of walking every day? You start with you can do. Can you do 1,000 steps, which is about 10 minutes of walking? Start there. Do it at lunch. And that's a nice time to do it. Now, why did I recommend the Kettlebell Workout Challenge? Well, first of all, I recommended it for people who are already doing pretty well, who are already healthy, and I recommended it as a challenge to reinvigorate, to remotivate you, and to take your current results. No matter what results you're getting right now, if you do my Kettlebell Challenge, you will get better results. You will have a stronger core, you'll have stronger hamstrings, stronger glutes, you'll be in better condition, and you'll be in better shape. And yes, you will look more toned as well. And I have the 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 rep challenge for the month. But remember, what does it break down to? And again, you have to listen to the whole show to get the details of what I was saying. But it's as little as doing 2 sets of 17 reps per day. That might take you 3 minutes total. And the maximum, which is 3 sets of 33 reps, and there's an in-between one as well, but just check out that show, is just 3 sets of 33. So if you're doing that, that might take you 5 minutes, 1 minute for the set, 1 minute rest, 1 minute for the set, 1 minute rest, and then you do your last set. So it's basically 2 rest periods and 3 sets. That's 5 minutes. So it's easy to do. You can do it before you leave the house. You can do it after work. You can do it whenever you want. But what I'm doing is I'm throwing it out there as a challenge. I want you to do something that's going to give you a little bit of, just do something that's exciting, do something that's fun, and also do something that you've never done before. It's a challenge. Can you do 1,000 reps of this swing in a month? Plus, kettlebell swings, keep in mind, there's a reason why I chose this exercise. I didn't say 3,000 bench presses, right? Or 3,000 push-ups. What I said was an exercise that's going to use the majority of all of the muscles in your body so that you're not overtaxing any one muscle. I didn't say 3,000 bicep curls, which could hurt your elbows or bicep tendons and cause some type of tendonitis. I'm talking about an exercise that predominantly uses the core-based muscles in your hips. You stretch your hamstrings and hips as you swing back, and you squeeze them as you push forward. Don't arch your back, just squeeze those glutes. So it's going to strengthen the glutes, the largest muscle in the body, the most metabolic muscles of the body, and it's going to get you in better shape. Nothing wrong with that. It's an absolutely fantastic exercise, and I want to introduce people to to it. And what I'd like you to do is just go back, check out that episode. And if you do, you'll see that I link up to the adjustable kettlebell so that you don't even have to figure out which kettlebell is right for you. Most people should start at about a 20 pounder if they've never done it before, then 25 pretty quickly. Other people can go all the way up to 50, 60 pounds or whatever they feel is most appropriate for them. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you do check it out. And again, like I said, if you try the kettlebell challenge, just pick a 30-day period of time, hopefully starting in the next week or two. Order that kettlebell if you haven't already. You can buy it right from Amazon or at your local sporting goods store. And let me know how you did. I know there's lots of personal trainers and lots of health practitioners who listen to this show, so you might be able to do even more. That's okay as well. Let me know how you do. I'd love to hear it. And again, I always enjoy answering your questions each and every week on the Cabral House Call, so do feel free to write in if you have a question that you've never been able to get answered at stevecabral.com/Ask Cabral.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.